Wednesday. It's September 20th, 2023. I'm in this. I'm like, physically, I'm having trouble holding a thought. Um, it's like very fuzzy, and it's somewhere centrally right in here, just almost by like sphenoid, ethmoid bone, like deep internal, almost like cribriform plate, um, of the cranial mass. I don't know why. I don't know what the causation of it is. Um, I was on the phone, or I was on Zoom. Well, actually, let me take that back. I started the day on Zoom with the Bible studies at the Red Cross. Then Tia Frio came in. It's just weird. And I'm just like, and then I'm thinking back to like my youth and where I was being whatever. And I am trying to just rely on like my perfect symbiotic system and how I wanted it so badly to work a very specific patriarchal way. And the anarchy at like almost every level. Like I got a letter as a kid, as a child, that I was a god, or I was part of this god, in a very special spatial way. um Again, I'm in this calcaneus calculus. I don't know where the think tank people are. I've heard some part of humanity gets to be think tanks. I don't know what that is, but they've done a horrible job as far as like, when does anybody get to rate them? Um and where they've steered us between like my grandfathers into this generation and what my children have to look forward to. It's hard to hold a thought. I'm like 3 times my natural weight. I'm not even, I mean, not even, I'm maybe double, but it's not a good look on me, on anyone. I don't want to purposely look this way, but there's a whole lot of health um, issues and obstacles in the way at the moment. And the healthcare is just not there, nor is the chemistry. Um, it's just not sitting right. I'm in this system at the moment. Then I get on the phone this morning with the church, and the conversation between the mother, who's the actual ordained person. I got a letter from the community that I was being raised in. Again, I come on a very special date. I come from a very special bloodline. Um, it's just different. We're the mountain people from somewhere else. And then I don't even know the family here at all. Um, they just, they have not, like, I hear that some people get like coats of arms and they get to do heraldry and genealogy, and they know so much about their family tree and their family branch. I know absolutely nothing. There's a Linda, there's a Lou, and there's myself. That's it. Um, so anyhow, so I'm on the call, and there's the first passage speaks something about kings, and there's names and there's places, and none of it sounds familiar. Not by geography, not by letter script, like whatever conscript that is. I have no idea. Whatever camaraderie that is, I have no idea. What kingship that is, no idea. Um, doesn't speak of Romans, doesn't speak of Greek, doesn't speak of Turkish, doesn't speak of Israel, or maybe Israel was in there, but Israel was in there almost like a name of like a person, so that gets confusing. And I don't even really know. I saw on the television they have something on, and I'm like, I'm not even touching that with a 10-foot pole. Let that be some character in history somewhere that I got to keep domestic West to East Coast United States of America outside of that conversation at the moment. There's people who again, that's what President Biden does. That's his important feature. Um, I heard Kathy Hochul and the president spoke. That was good. I think that's their normal chain of command. So, um, anyhow, so I spoke to the church in this area, and I've heard like I don't speak to too many humans. I don't like them. I don't. I don't like the what on the talk shows. I don't like how they talk. I don't like how they argue. I don't like how they debate. There is nothing about human like and then I've stayed silent for so long because I'm like, my God, if any outside foreign nation looked to what Americans look and sound like in this day and age, they're an embarrassment. I would then be an embarrassment. So I stay quiet. And I'm like, all right, I have to go back to basic training. Basics are, where is country? Where is leadership? At the most rudimentary, what was here? What was designed, an intelligent design before the internet, before the TV, before propaganda, before the sports uprising that Brady was a part of, before any of that, before film, before what was here that my parents had access to root myself into reality. It looks like there's several, it looks almost like an oligarch of patriarchs that I can rely on. And then on the paper, it says, it speaks of God, G-O-D. So it's in God we trust. So that's where the trust is. Then it says Federal Reserve Notes, and it has the United States of America. And then it has the eagle. So it has the U.S. Treasury, one has the U.S. Treasury, one has the White House. These are the most important documents I have ever found in the United States of America. And so I'm like, so I'm listening to this ordained clergy person, and she's saying what I've heard 1,000 times before in the media that I'm so sick of, about white supremacy and all this other. And I said, listen to me. I said, what's the alternative? There is a father system here that gave us the opportunity to have free speech, whatever freedoms one enjoys in this area under this system. There are people who leave other places for what is established here to enter our system for a better way of life. That's what they say. Why would you ever speak negatively or turn against the main foundations and structure of the system? I don't understand that. I was like, if something locally is not working, which is what I have going on at the moment, that's one thing. But why would, like, I mean, it just seems like pariah and wanting to destroy. I heard somebody say the other day, like, competition is another word used for a race to the bottom. So so I said, I'm like, and that patriarchal system for this territory And that sound foundation, that, I mean, that's national security is built on that. So I don't understand why anybody would want to take that away if they have good intentions. So there's that going on. And then I'm looking at Leland Vittert said that 10,000 Chinese immigrants rushed over the Mexican border and are now inside. 10,000 are inside the United States. And they're like single males, like fighting males. And I'm just like, again, last night when I went to PTA and I brought this up, um, NYPD, I don't know how long the internet's been around. And because on the conference call with the church, they also went into this Simon Peter, Andrew, and this net and this fishing for people. Um, and so I tied that into last night. I went to his first PTA of the middle school, um, with this radiological whatever to it. Um, and NYPD came in 111th. I don't know how long the internet's been around. I mean, it wasn't around when I was young. It was not in high school, not in college. In college, like I think it was like real early stages. We were hoping it would just go away and never, and like it wouldn't become popular, but here we are. Um, and so they spoke of something called catfishing. They spoke of something where people steal your identity and then pretend they're somebody. They're you, but to do really bad things. And I'm thinking to myself, and I even said this in front of the police officer, who again, I don't know when, or I mean, I don't have a codex of nationalities that are in New York at the moment, but I said to her, I was like, if these things are going on, I was like, why are they not like putting together a team of persons to actively seek out these persons who are trying to clone, spoof, and harm the innocent children? Why aren't they going after them and eradicating them like vermin out of the system? I just don't understand. Um, she didn't have an answer. I didn't expect her to have an. It was more rhetorical to just in a town forum setting, of nobody's of importance, just locals. I just don't understand why this type of situation is allowed. Um, and then there's this um, thing where, like, when I was in school at Compare and Contrast, it was Latin was made available, but like a Roman Latin from Rome, like they use on like really important documents and in law. Then there was French, and there was Spanish, and then of course we had an English, like really deep English study. Um, and now my son is getting a Mandarin and Spanish, and I'm like, what is that? I mean, I know, like, again, I don't know. It's just, I didn't pick this route. And then I got Tifrio, who wanted, all of a sudden to hang out. He said some weird thing about government to me. And I'm just like, what are you even? I was like, give me a piece of paper and let me have a divorce. I don't want to be with you. And then we went out to eat something, I guess, in public. Um, which is, I mean, I ignore him. Like, it's like turning off an episode of television, and then like when it's off it just doesn't exist because it's so unimportant. It's not important, it just isn't. And it's just ugh, it's just horrible. So, it's just a reminder of everything I hate about being here under these conditions. Um, so I don't know. There was something else that's important, but I'm really having trouble holding thoughts. And it's coming from like almost like behind, like where the optic nerve is, and where, like, in neuroscience, I have an appointment to go see a doctor about it. Let's see if they actually know anything. I feel more like a pin cushion, but without any real answers, because I know it's part like aerospace, but then if I say that word AERO and space, then I don't know if that becomes a patriarchal fight of who owns those four letters in that order. Um, so I don't know. I'm just, and then I had a conversation with D'Avrio, and we were just, there is, I stay quiet and I listen and I record, but it is, we don't even, we're not even on the same planet. We're just not. Um, I don't know what his planet's called. I don't. I don't know the one that he grew up on, but I had a different plan, different planet, different whatever. There's ear things around. On the conference call, I don't know, like, again, in my training of whatever, or my special away trip to Florida, when I got the phone call on the Blue Princess phone, um, where Linda and Lou sent me with Dan from study hall to Florida to meet the college rep, um, whatever that was about. And I disappeared, and then I don't really have much memory of it coming back. But some things do stick. And I did tell the clergy this morning, I said, listen to me. Um, I said, working at like a GOD level, I've heard it explained, and I don't know where I've heard this from, but I know I've heard it. It's like working a trauma room. It's if you're in the ER and you know you have beds of sick people and you have things that have to be tended to in your rotation, and then all of a sudden you get the emergency overhead call and there's an ambulance approaching, like, you don't know what's coming in that ambulance. Is it going to be like gunshot related where they're gushing and it could be a hemorrhagic event? Is it something, a poisoning? Is it, I mean, like, is it a deceased person that's not going to need your right away for you to leave the ER floor and go over? Who knows? Um, but working at like a GOD level is almost like that, because you know that there's this rotation and there's this God's plan that's presenting itself at normal rotation in ER. And then there's what comes in the ambulance. And sometimes the ambulance coming in needs like immediate attention, because it's life or death. I was like, and that's where I feel like I'm at the moment, as far as limited resources and monitoring or keeping an eye on situations. Um, I see things like unannounced, like if, and then we were talking about, um, I, they were talking about disease, and I said, well, in system, there's symbiotic relationships, and there's parasitic relationships where there's a host and a parasite, and the parasite is just siphoning off. I was like, but in a healthy system, and then of course, then there's a closed system and an open system. I mean, like, these are just important strategic things. And when I speak to the clergy, and like, It's almost like everything foul feminism coming out of her mouth. And not that I want to be toxic masculinity either, but there is this, where am I at assessing the situation, and then what needs to be addressed for nationally secure purposes, almost like in the trauma room in New York. Um, it's just how I feel at the moment. And it's disheartening because I've got like one father that I was born to, Lewis, who is my supposed to be rock. Um, but I don't know the system I was birthed into. If it was I birthed into a closed system that was symbiotic? Was I birthed into an open system that may have appeared to be symbiotic, but headed into a parasitic? I don't know. What does it feel like in the year 2023? It feels like I was born into a parasitic system where I did not get the benefits of the patriarch, and it's fallen out of balance. That's what it really feels like. And like that's my best assessment that I could possibly give in my honest answer, without taking into account feudals, without taking into account tribals, without taking in multinationals, without any of the other stuff. It just feels like it is an all-out parasitic assault. And I don't know how to counterbalance that other than doing what I've been doing. It's star 1978, star 8378. Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxies broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.